I do not want to be your punching bag, 'cause I'm done with that. I will not let myself be a doormat, 'cause I don't want to be walked on. What will you do when I am nowhere to be found? What will you do when I'm not around? It seems like every day it's something else. Sometimes you'll have to do things by yourself, 'cause I can't do it all for you. What will you do when I am nowhere to be found? What will you do when I'm not around? Will you go find someone else when you need some help? Will you tell them that they're doing it wrong? Well, I guess that's how it is. I do not want to be your punching bag, 'cause I'm done with that. I will not let myself be a doormat, 'cause I don't want to be walked on. What will you do when I am nowhere to be found? What will you do when I'm not around?
Jingle bell, jingle bell, jingle bell ride. Jingle bells swing and jingle bells ring. Snowing and blowing up bushels of fun. Now the jingle hop has begun. Jingle bell, jingle bell, jingle bell ride. Jingle bells chime in jingle bell time. Dancing and prancing in Jingle Bell Square. In the frosty air. What a right time, it's the right time to rock the night away. Jingle bell time, it's a swell time to go riding in a one-horse sleigh. Giddy up, jingle horse, pick up your feet. Jingle around the clock. Mix and a mingle in the jingling beat. That's the jingle bell. That's the jingle bell. That's the jingle bell ride.
Warning: this podcast features adult subject matter, adult language, and things not meant for children to hear. Viewer discretion is advised. You've been warned. If it's Thursday, it's I'm No Joe. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the latest episode of the I'm No Joe podcast, the show where every armchair quarterback can feel like an Eddie Bravo. Tonight, as like most nights, we have got a glorious panel of facially follicled fellows and RJ here to break down this final card of the year here on the UFC side, and possibly one of the most exciting cards of the year on the BJJ side of the house. Uncle Chael be damned, he will not let UFC have the last word this year. So we will get into that and a whole slew of other things. Since I knew RJ was going to forget, as he often does, to prevent loss here, what I went ahead and did this time was dropped our lower third here. The scrolling chat has the link for the brand new I'm No Joe Discord channel. It is also down in the description as well. You can find it in the description of just about every video. You can find it on our Facebook page, facebook.com/I'm No Joe. You can find it on the Instagram page, instagram.com/I'm No Joe. You can find it on our Anchor page in case these Instagram influencer level faces are just too goddamn distracting for the information we are trying to cram in your head hole. Your podcast consumption platform of choice through anchor.fm/I'm No Joe. And if you enjoy the shenanigans we get up to and the fact that we keep letting RJ come back week after week, patreon.com/I'm No Joe to support the channel and the shenanigans we get up to around here. Get you access to some behind the scenes shit, some unaired shit, some unairable shit, and get your name dropped at the end of the video. It's cool little hat tip words. We do it live. And we appreciate you just the same. That being said, we have got an interesting setup for this evening's show for you fine folks. We have the final UFC event of the year, UFC Fight Night Thompson versus Neal. Now that they've rebuilt it again for the third time, I think, fourth time, I don't know. It's the end of the year has been cursed with Backstreet Boys, as it were. So we're happy we've got a final card of the year, even if it isn't quite necessarily what we thought it was going to be when we started this journey. We also, though, have the final submission underground of the year. Uncle Chael giving us a chance to see Mason Fowler put that ultimate championship gold on the line one more time before the end of 2020. And since nobody in the jiu-jitsu world has been able to take it away from him, they're bringing in hired guns. They brought in a gold medal Olympian from the judo world to see if he can do the job. But we'll talk about that in just a little bit here. Before we get into some news and recent events, because there was only a small spattering of news this week, I do want to give a quick little rundown from last week's UFC 256 for those of you who might be living under a rock or you might have missed it. Like we said, for it being kind of a, again, end of the year card, having Backstreet Boys chopping at the legs and having to constantly be restacked, it wasn't much like tonight's what it originally was slated to be, but we did get one hell of a card, and there was a couple of moments last weekend that do definitely warrant talking about here. First and foremost, talk about opening the fucking card with a bang. Mini Ben Askren with the fucking Imanari roll to a heel hook. He actually got two of them. The second one he finished the setup with and actually did the damn thing. Ironically, old enough to go drink, still going to get fucking M&Ms and going back to his hotel room though. So good on Mini Ben Askren, but son, learn to fucking box. I know that young man's face hurt Sunday morning. I hope that that's motivation because he's got a spectacular ground game, but his standing guard is about as tough as a wet Kleenex, and that ain't gonna work if you want to do something in the UFC. You gotta fix that shit. That being said, if he does, Chase Hooper has a very, very bright future in this sport. But man, you got to block the moneymaker.
I can't figure out why he has not been in submission underground yet.
I don't know either because
could be
that would
fucking
absolutely
huge over there.
Yeah, that would be his bread and butter for sure.
However, learn to box, dude. You'll do great.
I agree.
You don't even need to learn how to kick. Just learn how to fucking box.
No, yeah, just hands, son. You need some fucking hands. Much like the newest Gracie we saw over in Bellator last week, your ground game is clearly spectacular, but you got to work on them hands. That being said, you know who don't need to work on their fucking hands? Tisha fucking Torres. The tiny tornado was back, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. We got to see a glimpse of the Tisha Torres of old, the reason that she was legitimately a contender, a fucking troubling contender for a lot of people for a long fucking time there. She got the fuck after it. And we kind of talked about it amongst ourselves. We talked amongst ourselves during the fight. The only real major difference that I noticed from this fight to her last couple fights, no Raquel Pennington in the corner this time. I don't know if that was a conscious decision, if something might have made this decision for them, but as strange as it is to say, Tisha Torres without her other half in the corner is a serious fucking contender again. And if she can keep this roll going, she's going back at a chance at the fucking strap legitimately here. Like, I don't see a lot of opposition for her on her way right back to the top. Speaking of fucking hands, Gavin Tucker, that young man came out and had some fucking crisp striking. Did not anticipate that, but good on you. And speaking of good fucking striking, good night, Gracie. Rafael Fiziev. Talk about fucking where did that come from? Oh shit, I missed it. That gentleman came in with bad intentions to just do damage, and that is exactly what he fucking did. That slam was absolutely brutal, but man, that dude has fucking hands. That guy, I think, once he gets a little more experience under the bright lights, that guy's another one. You better keep a fucking eye on him. He's another one of those crazy fucking Russian dudes, but he's not here to wrestle. He wants to fucking hurt you. He wants to be the next Fedor type fucking striker, he says. That's a fucking scary thing. That's a scary thing. And with the power we saw in his hands, yeah, I get it. I fucking get it. I'm paying attention. I will admit he was not on my fucking radar before. I am watching, sir.
Yeah, it was he was incredibly precise too. That was the
Damn
other
right.
scary thing. That was the
Yeah, I
other
mean, he
scary
threw-
because he was just like you could just see him just measuring every shot. It was
Yeah.
he's impressive.
Yeah, I was very, very impressed. Very impressed with that young man. Speaking of impressed though, Cub fucking Swanson. Who'd have thunk it? Speaking of vintage becoming new again, much like we got in that fucking Tisha Torres fight, the Cub Swanson that we saw Saturday night was absolutely reminiscent of the Cub Swanson of old, the guy who put on classic legendary fucking UFC fights a few years back. We saw a little piece. He's still in there. He's absolutely still in there. And coming off of fucking knee surgery. Impressive, sir. Impressive. Like, he definitely fucking held his own and showed that, you know, Pineda might have been a vet in the world of MMA, but you ain't up to UFC snuff. And Cubs still got a trick or two up his fucking sleeve. So I'm very curious to see where they're going to fucking send him out next or who they're going to put him up against next.
He did look very impressive, although I think isn't he was still a little suspect because he did come out of there limping pretty bad after a couple of leg kicks because he didn't take that many shots the fight throughout the round and a half that it was.
Yeah, no, he really didn't. He looked pretty goddamn good defensively.
Yeah, defensively he looked great, but it didn't look like he had the full step back. However, he definitely made up with it with his fucking hands because man, were they on point. He could not miss.
Yeah, anytime his hands moved, Pineda's head Pez dispenser. Oh man, you love to see it. You love to see it when the guys and the gals that you know are capable show that they are still capable, that it's not just wishful thinking, like it's still in there and they've still got it. For whatever reason, it just needed to be brought back out to the forefront again. And then you've got those cases where kind of the exact opposite of that situation, where you hope against hope that it's still in there. And then what you actually see is that it really isn't, that you've been seeing flashes and flutters. I hope that we have seen the last JDS fight in the UFC. I fucking love JDS. He's been one of my favorites for years. But the way that Cyril Gahn just fucking dismantled him and the way that he tried to play the back of the head shot after the fight, they showed it in slow-mo replay, 360, matrix view, fucking 900 different angles. Like, that shot was clean. That shot was clean as could fucking be. It as horrible as it is, it reminded me of fucking Overeem trying to say that he got the tap. No.
Nope, it was legal.
Clean as can be. And I get it because it clearly fucking rocked a dude as big as JDS that fucking hard. I get that you would be like, what the fuck? But no. Take your L and go home. And then the fucked up thing is that not only did he try and complain to the referee that it was an illegal shot, when they went back to square off and read the decision, he was going up to Cyril Gahn and being like, you hit me in the back of the head. And it's even then, like, Cyril Gahn was like, nah, dude, I caught you with a fucking elbow and a forearm across your fucking temple. Like, it might have gone a little past, but it was a clean shot. And apparently he has decided that he and his team are going to try and get that decision appealed, that they feel that strongly that it was an illegal strike, which sucks because, like, Nevada added a replay official specifically for situations like this. And as soon as the match ended, there was immediately multiple different slow-mo replays from different angles to where you could see, sorry, man, I get it, but no, like, don't Barbosa this. Don't. It's not a good look, man. Like, any hope you have of staying in the UFC and not being part of that 60 that are going to get cut for Christmas, don't, man.
Like, that replay, all it showed was his elbow was far back, but it made solid impact of the middle and the back end of his forearm. His elbow was just behind the top of his ear. That's not considered a back of the head shot. Even if his elbow made contact, that's still not considered a back of the head shot. He's just crying.
Even Big John McCarthy.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, go ahead.
He was just fucking crying because he got his ass whooped.
Yeah. No, even Big John McCarthy on his podcast said, this is part of the training that we got as referees, that this specific situation may be called into question, that you have to know, and that they understand. Even Big John understands in the moment, there's a lot of fucking pressure for you to make that call. But especially upon using the review, watching all the different replays, that decision is clear from a referee standpoint. He says that's a clean shot. So you hate to fucking see it. Speaking of, you hate to see it. We hoped that Saturday night was going to be a night of all vets getting to show out. And that was not the case. JDS had a bad night out, but he was not the only one. Credit where credit due. One of the most unique and impactful shots I have ever seen thrown from on a twister hand. And I don't mean twister as in the jiu-jitsu move. I mean as in the old spin the fucking thing, put your hand on a color game. Like OG twister, red hand, blue. Like, Kevin Holland landed one of the most unique pop shot, off-balance connections I have seen in years. And it was half dumb luck, half fucking genius, because Jacare was trying to make space. He was pushing off and trying to back away. And he put himself in the exact perfect fucking orbital reach for Kevin Holland's hand. And he fucking connected right on the money. And you saw instantly in that moment, it changed everything. Jacare snapped. And there was a hesitation there that should not have been. And Holland immediately capitalized it and jumped on him and fucking put Jacare to sleep. Absolutely fucking put him to sleep. But man, that was one hell of a weird setup to get there.
Yeah, that shot off his back, like, you saw him swing his hip. So it's something that I think that he's practiced. I don't know that it was dumb luck.
It didn't look like a first throw. No, I meant dumb luck in that the timing.
Oh, Yeah, no, Jacare was out after that first shot.
Yeah.
Like he was just sitting on his ass and he was out. And Kevin Holland just grabbed him by the back of his head and laid like 3 or 4 more on him. And yeah, that was fucking brutal. That was a fucking brutal knockout. But that shot off of his back was fucking impressive. Like you could tell that's something that he's worked on. Like just firing up like that and swinging his hip and getting momentum off of his back. Like that's fucking crazy. But yeah, I was really surprised that Kevin Holland caught him like that. And you could just see the light go out in poor Jacare's eyes. Like there was nobody home after that first shot.
I
The only
agree.
thing that
I almost. Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say the only thing that disappointed me about that is all that shit Kevin Holland talked about how he's gonna tap Jacare, and you already had the dude dazed and confused from the first shot. You had the chance to choke him out right there.
Could have shot in. Yeah, I agree.
But I get it. You're looking for a paycheck from that next fight. But at the same time, don't talk shit about something you're going to do and then not do it.
That's right.
That just makes you look fucking terrible. You talk a lot of shit. Granted, there's obviously some weight behind it, but at the same time, if you're gonna try to be Conor McGregor, be fucking Conor McGregor.
Exactly. If you're going to call your shots, you better fucking hit him when you step up to the plate. And you clearly had the chance there when he got dazed off that back shot. You could have just thrown a fucking guillotine on. You could have darced him up and rolled over. You could have taken it to the ground. You could have done any of a dozen different things while he was dazed like that. Got a quick, easy submission on Jacare to put on your fucking resume. And then done what you said and been the man that you claim to be. But, I get it. I understand as well.
Hey,
I do
impressive
think
win
though,
nonetheless.
what I was going to say. Yeah, no, agreed. What I was getting to though is I think from the way that he threw that, I agree. That is not the first time he has thrown that. The way it landed, I'm led to believe that is almost his answer to an up kick. Whereas most fighters, when they're on the ground and they're on their back, instinctively lean back with their hips so that they have the angle to throw those up kicks. You expect that. You almost anticipate that when a guy's on his back. You look for those up kicks when you're trying to make your way in. Whereas if he flips his fucking hip on you and you're anticipating an up kick, and then here comes this fucking winging punch out of nowhere that clearly can land.
I think that was more of a practice for when you can't throw an up kick. Because
or that as
Jacare
well.
was already grounded and on his knees at that point because he was just getting out of his guard at that point.
Yeah, he was stepping out of guard.
So I think that was something that was practiced as he's going to get out of your guard. Slap the shit out of him.
Give him something on the way out. Yeah. No, it was impressive to see it fucking done and to be done to Jacare of all fucking people. Like that legitimately does carry some weight. And I'm not a fan of the way that the kid runs his mouth, but when you put finishes up, you get a little bit of fucking leeway on that. I'm not happy about it, but I'll fucking turn a blind eye a little bit because you absolutely earned it with a fucking stoppage like that against somebody like Jacare. Like you put him to sleep. That wasn't a savory, like fucking questionable stoppage. Jacare was unconscious doing a fucking stanky leg. So I get it. Hats off to you. You earned that one. Don't get fucking cocky, kid. Trust me. The Death Star warned you. Speaking of don't get cocky though, Mackenzie Dern, to her credit, got a W. It wasn't pretty. It wasn't what she said it was going to be. She did not score a single takedown. She did get top control several points when the fight was on the ground. Did not land a single takedown that she shot in for, though. So I don't agree with the unanimous decision to begin with. I sure as fuck did not agree with it unanimously for Dern. But she is clearly their next fucking Holly Holm. So they are going to jump and shove and try and cram her down everybody's throat as much as they can until they can get her to the top, it seems.
You give her respect. You give her
respect on her name.
Respect.
Yeah.
I mean, for a striking, I mean, she said she wanted to show out striking. I guess that's her version of showing out striking.
To be fair, she did spend more time striking than anything else. So
I mean, when you watch the replays of it all, like she was missing a lot of shots. She was missing a lot of those shots.
A lot. Her accuracy rating was dog shit. Yeah.
But I mean, she didn't stop, so I give her credit. Give her credit.
Right? Yeah, no, her gas tank held out for the whole fucking round, so, or the whole fight rather. So
Yeah.
agreed.
Yeah. She never changed, never slowed down the whole time. So
Yeah,
I'll give her credit.
We'll see where she goes from here because the UFC is clearly trying to push her real fucking hard. That brings us to that fucking insane co-main event from last Saturday night. We fucking told you this one was going to be a banger. God damn it, every fucking second of it was. Charles do Bronx Oliveira is a bad motherfucker. The way that he was able to do to Tony fucking Ferguson, what he did to Tony fucking Ferguson, no one else has ever been able to do in his career. He got shot on, he got taken down, he got 17 submission attempts applied to him. He almost got his fucking arm broken. The bell saved him from getting his arm snapped in the very fucking beginning of it. Like, Charles Oliveira is as fucking legit of a well-rounded fighter as you can possibly fucking ask for in that lightweight division right now. And I know there's a lot of people who are crying about Michael Chandler and a lot of people who are crying about Justin Gaethje sitting on the fucking sidelines. And you know what? I don't give a shit. The winner of Conor McGregor versus Dustin Poirier needs to fight Charles Oliveira for the unified fucking 155 belt. Khabib is not coming back. I don't see any fucking reason for an interim. There's a vacant belt open. They just did it for 205. Do it for 55.
Yep, I concur. Like
That's
Oliveira.
the match.
Oliveira controlled Tony Ferguson.
Completely.
Like there's no other way to describe what he did to Tony Ferguson. He controlled him the entire match. The entire
and nobody's
fight.
ever been close to doing that.
Yeah.
Like,
And
holy shit.
Tony's BJJ is nothing to sneeze at. Nothing. Like he's a bad motherfucker. Charles Oliveira showed him the difference between men and fucking boys in BJJ.
Yeah.
It was one of the most impressive fucking things I've ever seen.
Talk about somebody who could make a fucking killing with a side hustle of fucking submission underground.
Yeah. Yeah, if Charles Oliveira showed up over there, like people would be like, "Oh,
yeah,
Uncle Chael,
let him get a little." Yeah,
Uncle Chael, I stepped outside this grain silo, and this dude walked by. I think I found myself a ticket to the reunion. I don't think I can take this fight tonight.
That could be dangerous and awesome to watch.
Yeah. You know what the saddest part of that is? Oliveira never got his fucking piece of fucking Khabib before he left. After the way he manhandled everyone on his way up so lately, I think he would have gave Khabib a good fucking run for his money. I don't necessarily think
and what he just did to Tony too.
Yeah,
because that was everybody's.
I'm not saying that he necessarily
that was the pros,
but or maybe this is after Khabib saw that. Maybe this is what says Khabib comes back for his 30th fight, but he'll only fight Oliveira. And you know what? I would not be mad about that at all.
No, not at all. I'd be okay with that as well, especially if he's going to, on the condition that this is his last and then he's gone regardless. Fuck no. Let Oliveira jump over Conor and Dustin right now. They both had their fucking shot at him. I have no problem with that at all because the pros, that was the guy that everybody said forever, like the kryptonite for Khabib was Tony Ferguson. Look what Oliveira just did to Khabib's quote unquote fucking kryptonite. I know MMA math ain't always what it's supposed to fucking be, but at the same goddamn time, if the guy that everyone thought was the answer to the puzzle that is Khabib just got wrung out like a wet fucking towel, that dude earns a jump in the line in my book.
Listen, that's my only thought on him. However, I'm completely all right with him taking on the winner of Poirier and fucking McGregor for a unified title. Strip that motherfucker and let's move on with this division.
Yeah,
the lightweight division's actually gotten a lot more interesting lately.
Yeah, baby. There's a lot of new blood coming into that fucking division.
Yeah, let the belt free and let's get back at
Let
it
him
again.
go. Yeah, let's see some fucking defenses, damn it. But speaking of impressive fucking defenses, hats the fuck off to Brandon Moreno for being one tough son of a bitch. Because Davis and Figueiredo brought the fucking pain Saturday night. Every single punch he fucking threw had bad intentions behind it. And when he connected, you saw. He moved Moreno every time he fucking clipped him. And every time Moreno got an opening, he'd land a fucking 3-piece, or he'd land a 2-piece and a fucking kick on the way out, or he'd counter off and throw a 1-2. Moreno was given as good as he was getting. So much so that it got fucking run a majority draw. To be fair, the reason it ended as a majority draw is twofold. One, Figueiredo got a nut shot in the third round that he got a point taken away for. Two, one judge, who ironically enough was not Sal D'Amato, I checked immediately, gave Moreno round 5 when both of the other judges and pretty much everyone else that watched the fight, including Brandon Moreno himself when asked about it yesterday, gave round 5 to Davis and Figueiredo. That was the single contention point, or dual contention point, I guess, that caused it to be a majority draw. Had that not been a point taken away for that nut shot, that makes it Figueiredo's win. Had that judge given it in the 5th round alone to Figueiredo instead of Moreno, that would have been Figueiredo's win. That would have been another title defense. Instead, what we got was a majority draw and a fucking absolute banger of a 5-round fucking war, and a guaranteed fucking rematch is early in 2021 as they can both get healthy for. They've both already said that they'll run it back. Dana says, how can you not? It was a fucking majority draw for the belt and it was fucking great. So yeah, that one's getting run back again. Speaking of divisions that are getting interesting again, for the first time since its fucking inception, someone besides Mighty Mouse is running the show, and people are all of a sudden paying the fuck attention out of nowhere like never before. As if a guy who had 11 fucking title defenses in a row wasn't exciting enough. A guy they had to create an entire Ultimate Fighter season just off other organizations' existing champions fighting for a chance to fight him wasn't exciting enough. Now we have excitement at 125 again. And you know what? It doesn't make any goddamn sense, but it's fun and it's fucking happening. There is new blood pumping into 125 just as much as there is at 155. I'm here for it because we're getting fucking knockdown, drag out fucking brawls out of it. And that's what we all really want to see in the end. As long as you're not giving me shit shows, I'm on board. These boys are pumping out some fucking bangers of matches. I'm definitely excited to see how Figueiredo Moreno 2 is going to play out next summer, because the way that it looks, that might be the actual legitimate July's International Fight Week headliner. That'd be about the time they've both been healthy. They both had time to get a full camp in.
Dude,
That could be a fucking match.
this fight alone brought life back into the featherweight division. It was losing it. Look, it wasn't that Davidson Figueiredo wasn't doing great, but
Right.
there was nothing exciting about this division anymore. You watch this, like, look, we all said it. We all thought Brandon Moreno was going to get his fucking ass just handed to him. We all said it fucking last week. I'll take the fucking heat for that, and I'm fine with that. I thought Davidson Figueiredo was going to mop the floor with him. Look, may not like how Moreno got there, but there's a reason why that kid is sitting in that number 1 contender spot right now.
Yeah, he
He is
solidified that for
tough
sure.
as fucking nails, man. And I can't wait to watch this again, because you know what? This right here was right up here for a fight of the year for me with the Joanna Wiley Zhang fight. We may not have had the fucking big old monochrome foreheads going on, but it was still fucking, it was that fucking good. If you haven't seen it, do yourself a favor, go back and watch it.
Oh,
Like, you
fuck
will
yeah.
not be disappointed. You'll know the outcome's a draw, but to get there, that's the fucking fun ride right there.
Yeah, the road to the draw was not what you would think it was.
Oh,
No, that was fucking amazing. And the amount of heavy shots that Moreno can take,
Fuck
I hate to
yes.
say this, but you always hear people saying the Mexican fighting spirit. That dude fucking has it.
Yeah, that's Mr. fucking Modelo right there.
Dude, to have be the first natural born Mexican to fight for the title.
And then to
Fuck
come
yeah.
to a
Like,
fucking majority draw,
and
yeah, that's as
I
close
wasn't
as you can
even,
get.
I wasn't even
majority
mad
draw
at
with
it.
Davis and Figueiredo. Like,
Yeah, no shit.
Yeah.
like that. It was,
I'm still under the weekend.
yeah, like it was like every shot that you heard Figueiredo land, like you could hear the fucking impact, and it was ridiculous how many that Moreno took. I'm really excited for the rematch because neither guy was fully healthy, despite what they were saying. Moreno's just tough. Like, that's what got him through that fight, is just being able to take all those shots. Because there was a couple times it looked like dude,
Oh,
you
man.
really want to fucking quit, don't you? But he just couldn't. He couldn't bring himself to do it. And yeah, and then we find out Davis and Figueiredo was not healthy.
Yeah, that was the other part of it. That I
Like he
don't
had
know
to,
if
like they had to,
everybody-
like he had to have two dudes help him out, and then
of the
immediately
ring.
went to
Yeah.
the hospital after that fight. Like, and
Well, and
he did all that when he was that hurt. Like,
right. Well, and the other half of that is coming into that fight. We
yeah, he
found
wasn't
out
healthy.
afterwards he was in the hospital until 2 a.m. the night of the fight. They almost had to cancel the goddamn fight because he had a stomach infection the night before the fucking fight. And until 2 a.m. the morning of the fight, he was still in the fucking hospital and they didn't know if they had a match or not.
Yep, and he wouldn't let him.
He comes
wouldn't let him
from
get rid of
that.
the match. He wouldn't
Yeah,
let
he
him get
wouldn't
rid
let
of
him
the
cancel
match.
it. He comes
Yeah,
from that and then gives us that 5-round war.
Yeah, and then he's just like he's like after the fight, he's like I really want to go back on that fight, but I really want to go home for a while. It's like, all right, dude, you go ride your water buffaloes. You go
That's
punch
right.
some trees. You do
Yep.
what you're gonna do. Whatever you need to do to feel better. Come back whenever you're ready for that, because I am down for that rematch, because I think it's gonna be. I think with both of
Man.
those dudes fully healthy
With
heading into a
full
match,
camp?
I think it's even more of a banger.
Yeah, I agree. Full camp, healthy fucking dudes coming into it. That's going to be scrap of the fucking year competitor for next year already.
Yeah.
It hasn't even fucking been booked yet.
Yeah, Moreno. Like, I didn't like him much heading into the fight. I didn't like or Brandon Moreno. I didn't my Brandon on Brandon violence. I didn't like how that ended.
Right.
I was upset about that. I apologize, my friend. You have to win, lose, draw, whatever you're doing, man. Fuck, you are tough. You're one tough son of a bitch. And I will, you know what? You may be fighting my boy, but I'll root for both guys. Because he put on a fucking show I did not know he was capable of.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I never had anything against Moreno. I've always been a fan of his. I love the way that he commentates. He's got a great fucking in-ring fight IQ. He's a great fucking kid. I did not think he was on the level that he absolutely showed me 100% wrong that he absolutely fucking was. He went toe to toe with fucking Figueiredo for a hard 5 fucking rounds. So much so they also won fight of the night. So they also got the $50K fucking bonuses for fight of the night on that. Well fucking deserved, in my opinion.
Yeah, that was amazing.
Like, there was some great matches, but nothing on that card compared to that fucking absolute war. They earned that 50K absolutely. The other two.
That fight takes me back to fucking like the early 2000s of just the holy shit. It's like not even fucking pay-per-view shit, just back in the day, just a fuck your average Saturday night fight. Every fight used to be like that. That shit took me back to like my first years watching the UFC.
Yeah.
Who was just beginning to end fucking raining
Craziness.
hate.
No, it was a great fucking war, man. It was a great fucking war. The other performance of the night bonuses, we did actually get fight of the night and normal performance bonuses. Fiziev for that fucking crazy shot early, and then Holland for stopping fucking Jacare, because I mean at that point, how could you not give him the other fucking bonus, really? So we do have a little bit of, like I said, of news and recent events, as it were. The Association of Boxing Commissioners officially released a study that has been peer-reviewed and confirmed to show that bare knuckle boxing is less likely to cause both concussions, serious damage to the face and head, and less likely to cause permanent damage and breakages of the wrist than both boxing and MMA. It legitimately backed up the claims that they had been making, that the damage received in bare knuckle boxing matches, though it looks fucking gruesome at times if you watch Jason Knight versus Artem, it can look absolutely fucking downright smut film gory, but it is literally just that. It is superficial damage. It heals fairly rapidly and leaves almost no long-term damage, and the concussions are almost non-existent in this because it's so much superficial damage that is more likely to stop a fight. This is one of the few times that they legitimately called it, and it turned out that science backed it up. Bare knuckle boxing legitimately is safer than MMA or regular boxing. Interesting. Very interesting. I'm curious to see how both boxing and MMA take this information and possibly use it going forward. Maybe thinner gloves, maybe longer or shorter rounds, more shorter rounds rather, like BKFC is doing. It's going to be interesting to see how this, if it does, make any kind of impact, since it's science now. This isn't just an opinion. But we'll see, because, you know, it's still Dana, so it's Dana and Scott Coker running both sides of the fucking house now, so it's not like we got a lot of fucking contention going along.
I mean, like, the fucking worst injury I've seen come from BKFC was fucking Crazy Horse. Whenever he did his run, fucking destroyed his entire fucking right hand.
Yeah,
and that was
melted his hand.
But like hand and wrist injuries are very few and far between over there.
Yep, and that part of the reason he melted his fucking hand is because he's one of those dudes that, despite it being already broken, would still throw it at you full fucking force. He would throw it at you as hard as he goddamn could, just like there was nothing wrong with it. And that kind of force on an already broken hand doesn't equal healing. So, you know, he's a little fucking crazy. But yeah, no, they verified scientifically and had peer reviews show bare knuckles actually fucking safer. So, you know, who'd have thunk it? But some other interesting news that we got this week. Not only did we find out that poor Corey Anderson can't catch a fucking break to save his ass. He goes to Bellator, set up to start taking over the light heavyweight division. Just when he gets comfy, gets his knuckles cracked, they announce Rumble's coming back. And Rumble's coming to fucking light heavyweight in Bellator, not UFC. Fuck. Well, maybe he can just work around Rumble and it'll still be cool to see what he can do in that division. And about the time he gets stretched out, loosened up, gets ready, they announce Yoel Romero has signed with Bellator to be making his light heavyweight debut. He's officially moving up to 205 as well. Corey Anderson can't catch a fucking break.
Dude, all I can say is Scott Coker is full of shit for that one. Because you know what? If there's only one thing that pissed me off about the UL signing was he said, we have absolutely no yearning to sign Yoel Romero. What's
no interest. Yeah.
Fucking signs him. You fucking lying piece of shit. Just look, it's okay to pick up the UFC scraps, especially when it's the Soldier of God. Perfectly all right.
Right.
But don't play off and play bullshit. Just say, yeah, we're going to pick him up. Fuck it. We're in the middle of negotiations. That's why you don't see his name on the roster yet.
Yeah, I don't have a whole lot to say about. I figured that's where he was going to wind up. Like, he's not a spring chicken, but there's still a lot of good fights left in Yoel Romero. So,
especially at 205 now.
yeah,
Like, you saw what he looked like at 185. Imagine him not cutting that extra 20 pounds. That's 20 extra pounds of Yoel fucking Romero.
yeah.
Think about the fucking transition of power that's going to create.
I think the greatest part of that is I think his gas tank's going to be a lot better. So you're going to see a lot more action out of him because he's not going to be completely gassed from fucking cutting weight.
Didn't he sign to fight Rumble too? I think he did.
If
I
that's
thought
the
that's
case,
the fight. I thought that's the fight I saw that they were working on for him.
if that's the case, that's a hell of an intro to fucking Bellator for the both of them.
Double check that. I could be spouting some nonsense, but I could have sworn I saw that earlier. That's the fight they were working on for Yoel. Losing more fights. Yeah, there's 2 more fights off of this weekend's cards.
Okay, so sorry about that. Fuck AT&T. We did get a small slew of announcements of fights that they have got coming up here. The first one that we got was for the UFC 257. They're stacking it even harder than it's already stacked. Khalil Roundtree welcomes Marcin Prochnio. Interesting to see them throwing Khalil Roundtree back at it. The last time he was out there, mentioned that he was possibly retiring. So it seems like he might have changed his mind. It's interesting to see how serious he's going to be now. Because generally, when you say you're retiring, not talk about potentially, but when you say you're done, but you stay in the USADA pool. Interesting. So we'll see how that plays out. We also got the official announcement of the rebooking. Matt Schnell versus Tyson Nam will officially go down on Fight Island on January 20th. Potentially card opener as of right now. I'm very happy to see that fight rebooked. I was excited to see it the first time. Sucked when they canceled it and it didn't have a rebook date yet. February 20th. Drakkar Klose stepping back in against Jai Herbert. That's going to be an interesting one. Those are both very unique styled gentlemen. And, you know, as they say, styles make matchups. So that one has a lot of fun potential written across it. One of the more fun ones that I saw here, a pair of announcements for UFC 259. They are starting to stack that one out now. March 6th. We will be getting both Sean Brady versus Jake Matthews, which I think has got a whole lot of fun potential written all over it. But then the big one that they announced, Islam Makhachev versus Drew Dober. 259 starting to look pretty nice. We also did get word, despite the PFL letting her go over and fight in Titan FC while the PFL season is down, Kayla Harrison's fight actually just got called off yesterday. The gal that she was going to be fighting had to be hospitalized due to dehydration from her weight cut. at 180 pounds after already cutting 24. They were supposed to fight at 155. So the gal that she was fighting literally started her cut at almost 210 pounds to cut down to 155. It's not really surprising she didn't make it. I think it's kind of fucking stupid that they would sanction that fight with her going in that heavy to begin with. Not sad that that fight got canceled. But interesting news coming out on the other side of the planet here. Australian rugby champion turned boxer, undefeated boxer, mind you, 9-0, Paul Galen stepped into the ring yesterday against former UFC star Mark Hunt. And the reason I didn't tell anyone about this last week on the show is because you didn't need to take the time out of your day yesterday to watch this. You can pretty much just guess based on the names alone how this fight went, and you'd probably be right. Mark Hunt landed one big right hand in the second round amidst a 5.5 other round long ass whipping he took from the former rugby player turned boxer, who has now subsequently, in winning a match against Mark Hunt, called out Robert Whittaker for a boxing match. I'm not entirely sure whether that is genius or lunacy. They apparently were in negotiations for a boxing match before Whittaker signed with the UFC way back in the day when Galen was first starting his boxing career and Whittaker was just taking what he could get at the time. But it never came to fruition. So Galen's trying to angle back at it now. I'm not sure if being a 9-0 dude coming off a win against Mark Hunt is the position you want to call out somebody like Bobby Knuckles, though, because he might not be the champion at middleweight, but he's still a bad motherfucker, and he's still got some fucking hands.
We saw that last fight.
Yes, sir. Bobby Knuckles is still in there. But I don't think we're going to see Mark Hunt getting many options for anything outside of some fight circus ridiculousness at this point. We did get a very strange announcement yesterday, though, from Dana himself. He said that Rose Namajunas didn't want the title fight against Wiley. And that immediately made me make the same face it just made TJ make. And so I was like, what the fuck? And literally in 2 seconds of research, you can immediately find, within 5 minutes of Dana saying that, Pat Barry was on Twitter going, bullshit. Not only do we want the fight, but we never got offered the fight. Had we been offered it, bet your ass we'd have taken it. That's Rose's belt. We want the title fight. We never got offered the fight, so you can't say that we don't want it. Like, what the fuck is that about? That smells immediately of Dana trying to play some fuckery. Like, do you think Pat Barry's not watching everything the UFC posts? Especially when they're waiting for the contract for the Wiley fight? The fuck, Dana? Like, it's just bold-faced, broad daylight bullshit, basically. And it's getting bolder.
And they wonder why it's so hard to believe a goddamn thing that comes out of Dana White's mouth when he says something.
Yeah, I mean, he's a notorious bullshitter. This is obviously wrangling around for something to do with the contract. We don't know what it is, obviously. So who knows what the fuck is going on? But yeah, Rose, that's Rose's belt. She's coming for it. It's just a matter of time, and I guess getting the contract details right.
Little bird that I talked to anonymously off the record yesterday said that word around the water cooler is that they're not wanting to give Rose pay-per-view points going into the championship battle like they traditionally do with both contender and champion of a title fight. When it's on a pay-per-view, you both get pay-per-view points. Obviously the champion gets more, but that's one of the main benefits of being in a title fight, is that you get the pay-per-view points of the fucking show that you are helping to literally build yourself.
Yeah.
And word has it that they're trying to just offer Rose the contract with no pay-per-view points, and then once she's the champion again, any defense would regain her the standard championship pay-per-view points. And she's like, nah, dude, fuck that. Like, you give me the same clause that everybody else fucking gets when they're in the situation, the one that I got when I fought for the belt originally, so I know for a fact that this is how that works, and then we'll do this. Otherwise, fuck you. Like, that's bullshit. And I agree. I think there's some shady shit going on behind the scenes, and Dana's trying to save face early.
Mhm.
Wouldn't be the first time we've seen that happen.
No, it would not. And eventually he winds up backing up the money truck. So
yeah, it always comes out in the long run. So yeah, it's just a matter of finding out.
that's the fight we're waiting for, right?
Yeah,
Like Rose
that's
versus Wiley.
absolutely. Rose and Whaley is the fight to be made. Like, that's the only fight in the ladies division that really makes any sense.
Yeah.
We did, however, get an interesting announcement for a potential fight on UFC 258, February 13th. It's unofficial because apparently only one side has signed the contract, but both sides have been issued the contract. And again, one of them has signed it, just not both yet. But as of right now, prospectively, since only one contract again, the headline for UFC 258 in February would be Brian Ortega versus Alexander Volkanovsky.
That's a rough day at the office for Brian Ortega after how Max dismantled him and then how
Right.
Volkanovski dismantled Max. Although we know MMA math doesn't always work, and this could be something new to the table that Volkanovski might not be able to deal with. Who knows?
Agreed.
However, that's all myths until it becomes to fruition.
Yeah, so with Dustin and Connor, rather, for January's pay-per-view, and then potentially Ortega Volkanovski for February's pay-per-view, like, they're starting off Q1 of 2021 pretty fucking strong.
That's a pretty good fight.
That's a good matchup to open your February's pay-per-view with.
Yeah.
So I'm okay. I'm okay with that. We did two more things here real quick. One more, it turns out for whatever fucking reason, this was Whiner's week, according to the press. We had JDS come out and whine, saying that he thought that it was an illegal back of the head shot. Tony Ferguson came out yesterday and issued a press statement saying that he mentally broke Charles Oliveira in round 1 and was toying with him through the rest of the fight, but shouldn't have. He let the fight go by playing too many mind games after he had already broken Oliveira, which I don't think so. I'm definitely going to have to go back and rewatch, but it sure as fuck didn't look like that to me.
Yeah, I mean, at what point was it when you got saved by the bell? Is that when
Right.
you broke him?
Yeah, because he said round 1, and that's how that one ended.
Yeah, that's how that one ended.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm
not-
I'm curious as to what point he broke him in round 1. I mean, it's Tony Ferguson though.
Right.
Like, in his
but-
in Tony's reality, I'm sure that he did.
Right. In his mind, yeah.
Yeah. In Tony's reality, I'm sure that he did break Charles Oliveira in the first round, and it wasn't Charles Oliveira breaking Tony's arm in the first round.
Right.
Okay, I got it. I'm
But-
tracking now. I'm on track.
Yeah. But as if JDS and Tony wasn't enough, then Michelle Pereira, who we'll be talking about again here in a little bit because he's fighting Saturday, came out and cried to the press during the virtual media day yesterday that he had originally been offered a fight against Anthony Pettis, that Anthony Pettis turned it down, that he was upset because now that he's fighting someone else, Anthony Pettis is also on the same card as him, but not fighting him. Turns out UFC offered Pettis the fight on the 12th, and Pettis wanted to be on the last card of the year, which is the 19th. And Pereira's name was not one that the UFC had offered him for the 19th, so he didn't pick it. But, didn't stop Pereira from coming out and fucking crying about it. And then we got probably the biggest bitch of the fucking week, which when I saw the initial video itself come out, I did not realize had more context to it than it did until this afternoon when more of it has been released. We saw Wednesday Jake fucking Paul in his desperate fucking attempts to try and secure himself an MMA fighter to fight now pulled up randomly on Dylan Dennis in a pickup truck with coolers full of water balloons, talked some shit through water balloons, and then drove away like a bitch. Turns out there was more to that, and it looks like Brandon Schaub set him the fuck up, because Brandon Schaub was shooting a Food Truck Diaries episode for Showtime on an undisclosed location to anyone who was not working with the show, including Dylan Dennis's people. They just knew that he was going to eat lunch and do the interview with Brandon. And yet Jake Paul knew exactly where they were and when to be there with a pickup truck full of water balloons. And Schaub kind of just played dumb the whole time. Once you see the Showtime footage that was released this afternoon of the incident, not the Jake Paul shot from the pickup truck footage. So seems like Schaub is not only trying to help this shit happen, but literally willing to set up MMA fighters in the process of making that happen, which just makes the little bit of respect I may have still had left for him that much harder to hold on to, because Brandon Schaub is kind of a giant piece of shit at this point, and I could give two fucks less about his opinion, but when it comes to a point where he's willing to actually set people up like this, that's a little bullshit, I think. That's a bit fucking much.
I won't talk about anything that has to do with the Pauls.
I don't blame you. Only reason I wanted to mention it was because Brandon Schaub's bitch ass seems to be tied directly into it right now, and that kind of shit can't just be fucking overlooked from a guy who still wants to cling so fucking hard to the little time he spent in the UFC as such a strong part of his identity and his marketing. You're gonna set up your fucking fellow MMA brothers for a fucking YouTube stunt? That's kind of bitch made. So that being said, we'll move on from there to Submission Underground 19. I want to give a quick little rundown on this before we get into the UFC, because I think the UFC is going to take a little bit longer than this. The Submission Underground 19 card is not that big. I think there's 5 prelim fights that aren't going to be terrible by any stretch of the imagination. It's just not names that a lot of the household folks will recognize. There are, however, a bunch of names that the average, everyday, run-of-the-mill, super fucking casual fight fan will recognize and will absolutely want to tune in to watch these. The first one I want to talk about actually was an even better match, but thanks to the way that fucking 2020 works out, we couldn't get that, but we did get an interesting substitution. Rumble Johnson, before he comes back to the world of the UFC, is stepping back into the world of grappling and Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, originally scheduled to take on Fabricio Doom, which would have been fucking great. Unfortunately, Fabricio had to pull out, but we did get an interesting replacement in Ryan Bader. I don't think that's going to be nearly as exciting as Fabricio versus Rumble would have been, but I still think it's going to be interesting, especially since they're now both going to be at Bellator and both in the light heavyweight division. So seeing 2 Bellator light heavyweights in Submission Underground, I think could be interesting. I think Rumble takes it. I don't think Bader has good enough wrestling to stop him.
Yeah, that one's for me. Neither one of them really have great fucking submission grappling, so it's a toss up. I mean, yes, it's a rematch, but it's not the rematch we want. We want it in MMA, not in fucking submission grappling.
I agree. Next one I want to talk about real quick here. Brent Primus, not Primus, Uncle Chael, Primus, Brent Primus, taking on the Cheetah Print Warrior himself, Craig Jones. Craig Jones trying to get back from 2 undeniable defeats in a row to lose his spot atop the jiu-jitsu world on the Submission Underground side. I don't know if Brent Primus has enough to stop him. It's going to be interesting because I think Brent Primus has about 20 pounds, 15, 20 pounds on him. I just don't know if his technique is quite good enough to stop the leg rip that he's going to try and throw at him.
There's a Brent's Big Brown Beaver joke out there. I'm not going to take it.
I could see that.
Yeah, Craig Jones. Craig Jones is getting back on track. That's I'm trying to stop myself.
Next one on that card I want to talk about real quick. Kevin Casey coming off of the victory against the boogeyman himself, taking on Zangief, who is coming off of that loss. That's going to be an interesting matchup. They're both very strength-heavy wrestlers, grapplers, but I think Kevin Casey relies more on his strength than his technique. And even though Zangief does absolutely rely on his strength, his technique is good as well. His technique is as good as his strength, I should say. I think Zangief takes it over Casey.
I'm inclined to agree with that. I don't see that playing out another way, to be quite honest.
Big boys getting after each other, huh?
Hell yeah.
It is fun always to watch those big boys get in there and fucking try to manhandle each other. You know,
I'm inclined to agree that Zangief is going to take this, but there's a part of me that wants to say Kevin Casey, and I'm not sure why.
I think Kevin Casey's more agile.
Yeah, I think he's quicker.
But I think technique-wise, Zangief's got him. That's what's leading me to, because I know Zangief's bigger and stronger, but I think he's also got the technique to back him up as well. I agree, Casey's definitely faster. He's a lot slicker, but I don't know if he can manhandle Zangief the way he's going to need to take it.
Yeah. I'll stick with Zangief. I'm going to stick with Zangief.
And that brings us to the people's co-main event here, as it were. One Rafael Dos Anjos versus Cowboy Cerrone. RDA versus Cowboy in a fucking grappling match. I think that people don't realize about either one of those dudes is they are both legitimate badass black belts. When you take it to a grappling and submission only kind of situation like this, I think this could get real fucking interesting. I think RDA actually takes it. I think he's going to come in bigger than Cowboy, and he's going to have the strength and size to impose a little more. And since it's not striking, since it's just grappling, I think it's going to make a difference here. I think it's going to be fun as shit, but I think at this point, RDA is going to be a little beefier, and I think that's going to play to his advantage.
For me, to be quite honest, I know Cerrone's got a great ground game, but RDA's is just much better. I think his technique's going to win it out. Now, don't get me wrong, I don't think he's going to finish him in regulation. It's going to end up going into OT before he gets Cerrone. I think Cerrone makes it to OT.
Agree.
Yeah, I think RDA's got this. I think this is I love Cowboy, and he's gonna make it really freaking hard. So it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be a lot of fun. I'm glad Uncle Chair was able to talk the two of them into doing it. So
yeah. So from there, that'll bring us to the actual co-main event for Submission Underground on Sunday. Amanda Lowen, the 10th Planet badass herself, taking on the Phenom herself, Felicia Spencer. That I think could be an interesting matchup because the thing about Felicia Spencer is she actually was a grappler, a gi grappler, before she was an MMA striker or an MMA fighter of any sort, rather. She started in the gi. She started grappling. She started doing jiu-jitsu traditionally. That's her base. She never threw a kick till she had her first MMA fight. It's not going to be easy, but I think it's going to be real goddamn interesting because Amanda Lowen is probably one of the most deadly black belts on the fucking planet, men or women. And she's got the 10th Planet black belt to fucking make it that much more dangerous. It's going to be interesting. I think Felicia's going to make it very difficult for her, but I don't think there's any way that Amanda loses. I think Amanda's going to take it. It's just a matter of does she want to spend the effort to do it in regulation, or is she going to just ride it out to OT and make that work for her? Either way, I think Amanda takes it, but it's going to be a good match.
Well, Felicia Spencer, the one thing about her is she really doesn't know how to quit. So she's got that going for her. Unfortunately, she's up against someone who will make her quit, and that's Amanda Lowen. Amanda Lowen is just a gigantic badass. She legitimately terrifies the shit out of me every time I watch her, just because she is so freaking good. She is so good. And she can basically end it any time she wants. That's at any point during any match. And it's Felicia Spencer, she won't make it easy on her. She's really going to try. She's going to try really, 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 really hard.
Yeah.
To make this,
she's going to give it everything she's got for sure.
Yeah, as difficult as she can on it. She's out of her league on this one. Amanda Lowen, she's a serious badass. So, you know where my pick's going. That's going to Amanda Lowen.
Yep, I'm 100% in tow. The only way Felicia Spencer would have a chance in this is if you could fucking punch, because I'm pretty sure she could out punch Amanda Lowen. But there's no striking allowed. So, yes, you started in gi grappling. You have fantastic MMA grappling, but MMA grappling doesn't translate well to normal grappling BJJ. It just doesn't. Sorry to burst anybody's bubble who thinks that. They're two totally different types of grappling. Yes, they do translate more so from going from BJJ to MMA,
right?
Not the other way around. And she's been focused mostly on MMA lately. Her grappling's not going to be up to snuff enough. I'm guessing she's going to get subbed. Rear naked choke. She's going to give up the back. And once she gives up the back, it's all over.
It's all downhill from there, especially against Amanda. There's no coming back from that. That being said, though, that will bring us to the main event of Sunday's evening. The Submission Underground Ultimate Championship belt on the line. This is what I was talking about a little bit earlier. Mason Fowler has not only torn his way through the ranks to the top, but has defeated what was considered by most people the best of the best multiple times now. That's Mason Fowler's fucking Ultimate Championship belt to such an extent that they are bringing in Satoshi Ishii, the two-time Olympic gold judo medal winner, to try and take that belt away from Mason Fowler. They have stopped sending in jiu-jitsu guys. They're sending in judo practitioners now. They don't think that there's enough jiu-jitsu in the world to stop Mason now. They're reaching out to other martial arts. Much respect for a gold medal Olympian stepping in here, but as Ronda Rousey learned the hard way, judo ain't everything, even if you're really good at it. And in this world, this is Mason Fowler's cage, man. I think, especially because Satoshi comes in probably 20 pounds heavier than Mason as well, he's going to make it real fucking difficult. But Mason's so fucking wily. And if you've seen any of Mason's social media for the last couple weeks, month or so, that dude is like a fucking shaved ferret. He's so goddamn wriggly and fucking bendy and slinky. It's ridiculous. He's a shaved ferret. I'm convinced. Mason Fowler is going to make this very interesting, but he's going to win it again.
Yeah, I concur on that one. Yeah, Mason Fowler's proven over and over again, despite the fact that he's fighting, that he's grappling with the absolute best, that like, he is so tricky. Like you think you got him, and all of a sudden you're going and verbally tapping. So literally. So yeah, it's tough to bet against Mason Fowler until someone takes him down. I mean, hats off for a gold medalist coming in and giving it their all. I'm sure his technique is going to be immaculate, but I mean, once you've got him down, like you've kind of lost your advantage. And after that, like that wriggly son of a bitch, he'll stick something on you when you least expect it from a position you didn't expect it. So yeah, Mason Fowler.
Unless Satoshi can come up with some sort of crazy throw straight to like an armbar or something like that.
Right.
It's only going to end one way for him. And don't get me wrong, he's fantastic at the judo aspect. So I mean, I fully expect Mason to pull guard initially. I fully expect him to pull guard because there's no way he's going to want to stand and try to get a dominant position with him because he won't. Like judo versus BJJ, the judo is always going to win when it comes to throws and who ends up on top initially. Don't get me wrong, Mason's not going to be hurt if he's on the bottom, but to put himself into a bad position right away, he won't do it. I think he'll pull guard. It sounds weird to say that, but I really think that's what's going to end up happening. Either that or he'll drop down the guard and reach for an ankle and go for a sweep of some sort. And I mean, hats off to Ishii. I mean, you do have a gold medal. It's something that Mason Fowler can't say. So I guess you do have one feather in your cap that he doesn't have. You've also fought in Bellator and Ryzen as well. Another thing that Mason Fowler can't say, which I don't think we'll ever see Mason go to full-on MMA. Not when he's this good at submission. There's no way. If you're leading the pack here, why are you going to leave here to go somewhere else? And Submission Underground is picking up more and more steam. Look at the names that you have on this card alone. When people that don't watch Submission Underground are starting to recognize the names on here, that's when you know it's really picking up steam. Old Uncle Chill there is doing a fantastic job putting these together, and he's going to have his first Hall of Famer in Mason Fowler.
I agree. I think it's going to be a fucking fun match to see, but I absolutely agree. I think Mason, I do agree with you. I think Mason might just pull guard. If nothing else than the fact that Ishii is going to come in heavier than him, and as good as your ground game is, being on the bottom side of a slam from a judoka like that, a big dude who's going to take your fucking legs out from underneath you and then land on top of you, that doesn't put you in a good position to start from on the bottom. So I think you'd absolutely be better off pull guard, maybe even fucking crazy Imanari roll, grab his fucking ankle and throw him to the fucking ground face first. I think it's going to be interesting. But that being said, that will bring us into the actual meat and potatoes of the meat and potatoes portion in this meat and potatoes segment here, the namesake for this particular episode, the final UFC event of the year, UFC Fight Night, Thompson versus Neal. Again, I think this is either the third or fourth time this card has been completely rebuilt, just like most of the last couple of cards that we've seen. But we did manage to still get some interesting matchups on this one as well. An early opening fight that no telling where it's going to end up now, because the opening fight actually got pulled yesterday. So no telling where this one's actually going to start. Might actually be the opening fight now. But Ayman Zahabi, world famous coach Faraz Zahabi of TriStar up in Toronto, younger brother. To be fair, much like some of the younger Gracies, has had a rough go of things getting into the world from the gym to the octagon. We know that the abilities are there, but as we've seen with some of the Gracies, like I mentioned, you can have a little bit of Bambi legs making the transition itself. Once you're there, we've seen in Neiman that when those Gracie boys get comfortable, they're a fucking problem. But Eamon has had a couple of stumble steps along the way. I'm going to be very curious to see if he's worked those out. But the first actual fight I want to mention real quick here, Pani Kianzad versus Sajira Eubanks. Sarge making that quick fucking turnaround to step in here on a short notice pickup to step in against Pansy. Honestly, I'm not the biggest fan of either one of these ladies, but you can't shake a stick at what Sajira Eubanks has done in 2020. I'm definitely not going to go screaming her fucking praises from the rooftop, but her body of work this year has definitely shown that she is in it to fucking win it, and she's serious now. She wasn't in the past. That was very clear. Whatever has changed has very clearly changed, and she is on the fucking money trying to get after it now. So I think she's going to take it.
Yeah, I mean, Sarge, that last fight the last fight she had, what was the last fight? Let me pull that.
Abu Dhabi or Fight Island. Who the fuck did she fight?
Vieira.
Caitlin Vieira, that's right.
Yeah, Caitlin Vieira. Like that was the best fight she's ever had. Like she was on point. And fighting Panty, I don't know that Panty's got the strength to stop her. You should push her right up against the cage and go to work. I mean, granted, sometimes Sarge can be a little bit boring, but she's figured out the tools that she has, and she's starting to utilize them quite a bit more. So I mean, I'm gonna go with Sarge on this one. Yeah, it's a quick turnaround, but I think she's really turned a corner this year from the start. From watching at the start of this year, her progression throughout the match, or the fights that she's had, she's really turned a corner. And I don't know that she'll ever wind up in a title fight, but I think she's got some success coming her way. So picking Sarge. I think it'll probably go decision. I think it'll probably go decision, but
yeah, I agree. No, I think there's still some fun in her future. I think there's still some good matchups for Sarge. I agree. I don't think she's ever going to see a belt, but I think there's still a lot of fun for her in this division if she stays on the track she's on.
Yeah. Yeah. She's getting pretty darn good.
You know, if she keeps this up, look, there's nothing like experience to make you better. Like, don't get me wrong, that whole steel struggle and steel shit, that's great and all. But the more fights you get under the lights, the better you're going to get. And to be that she's turning into, for lack of better terms, the fucking female version of Donald Cerrone, taking every fight that the UFC offers her, that's going to make her a lot better. Like, we might not see anything great out of her or in the near future, but I think one day we'll see her crack in. We'll see her get up there, but I'm with you guys. I don't think we see a title fight ever, because to be honest, I mean, don't get me wrong, all the fights you've had this year, that doesn't give you a lot of time to train to expand your arsenal. I mean, you're focusing from fight camp to fight camp, so you're not really training to expand. And so if she keeps this up, she'll be that middle of the pack leader, probably ranked somewhere around 10, maybe 8. And if she's lucky, she'll do a fill-in for a title fight. That'd be a fucking best case scenario for her.
Yeah, last minute replacement in the title fight.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I could totally see that. I could see Dana giving her an attaboy at some point. Be like, there you go.
Well, yeah, you gotta throw their old attaboy or fucking toss a dog a bone when they're being behave, or and they're fucking helping you out.
Yeah, I mean, she's been a company gal all year. Just
She has, and I'm not mad at her.
I'll take
She's
that
making
fight.
money and doing what she's got to do, and she's
Right.
really not looked terrible in any of the fights this year.
Yeah.
She hasn't looked the greatest in some of them, but not absolutely fucking horrible like some of these other female fighters that we've seen more than once this year. And you're going, why? Why are they?
We can talk about Angela Hill like that if we want, but because she's had some atrocious fights this year. But I mean, Angela Hill's last fight, like she went for it, like as hard as she could, and she was really upset by that loss. So I actually expect quite a bit out of Angela Hill next year too, because she's going to be forced to take some time off and train, and she got a chip on her shoulder now. So
I'm not gonna lie, I was stoked to see Tisha versus her rematch, even though it fell through. I think the Tisha versus Angela rematch could have been pretty fucking great after seeing what Tisha did to Sam Hughes.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, this it has potential to be a lot of fun. A lot of fun. Although, like I said, Sarge can get a little bit boring sometimes.
Right. Excuse me.
Yeah, I'm taking Eubanks on this. She's making like small steps and strides at getting better. She shows that she's trying harder than what Penny is. Penny just is the same exact shit every fucking fight. Eubanks is trying to better herself, better what she's her arsenal, trying to sharpen herself up. So
excuse me. No, I agree. Eubanks is definitely clearly growing and leaps and bounds more than fucking Penny Kianzad has since we saw her in Ultimate Fighter, 5 years ago, 6 fucking years ago now. She still hasn't done shit. I think it kind of feels like this is one of those, like, whichever one of these ladies loses, no matter what, is going to be part of that 60 getting cut. I think a lot of this card is the final fat trimming of the year. Like, if you can't show out in the last chance of the year, your name's getting put on the roster the next fucking week to get cut. Speaking of names I hope end up on that roster, the premier prelim fight for this weekend's card, Alex Morono against Anthony Pettis. 10 years, almost to the day, to the anniversary of the Showtime kick, the last time he was relevant and did anything highlight worthy. Well, no, I take that back. He did knock the fuck out of Wonder Boy. I will give him credit for that. He did knock the fuck out of Wonder Boy. But other than that, on a fluke last-minute fight, first time up at 170, so I don't think he gets all the credit in the world for it, but credit where credit's due, so. But Morono has been on a fuck tear. He's another one of those fucking just dark horse, quiet guys just slowly working his way up through the fucking welterweight division that hasn't really gotten a whole lot of credit because the majority of his fights have been on the prelim card, like this one is. The difference here being now he's got a premier prelim fight against Showtime fucking Pettis. And if he can do something here, that's a name that'll mean something on your resume. Even though it's 170, not 55, where Pettis made his name for the most part, the Wonder Boy fight alone shows that Pettis has 170 potential as well. So the bad part is that Wonder Boy fight was a while back. And I kind of feel like that was a little bit of a one-off because of the situation that it fell into. I kind of feel like Morono's a little bit more prepared here than Pettis is. I kind of feel like Pettis is really just playing at 170 because he knows he can't really cut it at the top of 155 anymore. Whereas 170 is Morono's house. He's not playing here. This is where he fucking lives. And he's showing that in his climb up the ladder. I think he puts on a fucking show against Showtime Saturday night. I think he stops Pettis and puts a fucking stamp on his name and hopefully puts Pettis on that fucking 60 roster so he can go play with his brother in Bellator.
Yeah, as much as I've always been a fan of Pettis, but he's also taken a drastic fucking sharp turn over the last. I won't even say the last 10 years because he was mediocre for
A bit.
about 4 of the last 10 years.
Yeah,
Since I'll say the last 6 is where he's just taken an absolute downward spiral.
that's fair.
Yeah, he's gotten a couple of wins in there, but nothing fucking phenomenal. In fact, the fight he had with Wonderboy, he was fucking losing. He was getting his ass whipped and got lucky with the Superman punch. Although it is Pettis, so you do some flashy shit because that's what he does. It doesn't matter which fight he's in, you're going to see something flashy out of him. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, but there will be some sort of flash. So if you're looking for something flashy, this is a good fight to watch because it's going to happen at some point. Don't know what it's going to be, but it will be something.
Right.
Do I think he's going to hold his own at 170? No, not necessarily. I think it's about time he hangs him up. Or it's time they cut him and let him head over to Bellator with his brother.
Yeah, I mean, at some point during this fight, you're probably going to see like a Guile style flash kick at him, like he's going to try and do a backflip kick or something like that out of Anthony Pettis.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it's like 5 years late for trying that move for Anthony Pettis for Showtime. So I agree. I agree with Meter. Moreno's he's been really quietly doing his thing. The thing that's really impressed me is he really throws people off. Like he comes in with a game plan, like a really smart game plan, and even if things get fucked up a little bit, like he gets back to that game plan and he's able to keep pushing at people and really throw them off, and kind of dictate how fights go. With Pettis, you don't really don't know what you're gonna see. I mean, Showtime, we know he did his off the cage kick. He Superman punched Wonder Boy. He's gotten lucky over the years. I don't think his luck holds out. I don't know that he gets cut, but I mean, if this loss piles onto the last couple, I suppose it's possible. But his name still has some value to Dana, so I don't know that he gets cut. But I think Moreno takes this. I think he whatever his game plan is, I think he finishes him probably at some point in that. I don't think he can do it in the first. I think he could do it in the second or the third. But yeah, I think Pettis will get thrown off his game, try something flashy. Oh, there's always the off chance it works, but I with a dude like Moreno who's as smart as he is, I don't think it's gonna work on him.
Angry Jesse Eisenberg, man, I'm telling you.
Yeah, it's pretty unanimous across the board. Pettis is only good for fucking flashy shit that nobody expects. It's the only way he can get a fucking W. Moreno knows that, so he's gonna fucking watch out for unusual movements and unusual opportunities, like any fighter should going against somebody that is flashy, stupid shit. I think Alex takes that. I want to say like middle to late second. I think it's gonna be a nasty ass fucking knockout. Pettis needs to leave. Pettis needs to go play with his brother.
I agree. I think his best case scenario is to go play with his brother. I think he's another one of those, just like they said with Yoel. It's not necessarily that he can't compete. It's just that he can't compete at the top of the stack, and for the price tag that his name carries at this point, it's just not worth it. When they are hiring new guys left and right for a dime a dozen that they can put in there that are going to put on exciting fights and they won't cost them $700,000 win plus show, like, you better do something. Better do something flashy and it better fucking work. Otherwise, he might be a Bellator fighter come 2021, pal.
Like, Dana, just make it easier on like the fans of Pettis. Wait, the UFC fighter or the Bellator fighter? Just make it easier on the fans. Just get rid of them. Let Bellator
No
pick
question.
them up.
That's right. That's right. Oh, that being said, that'll bring us into the main card. Unfortunately, there's a shit stain across the opening of the main card as well. All I can say is I hope Marston's got his fucking shit together. If not, I'll never fucking root for him again, much like all of the other fucking failures who have come before him. That's all I'm literally saying about that one.
I can say that this is the first time I rooted for Marston and fucking years.
Right?
Maybe ever.
Yeah, so I was thinking, is like that might be the first time I've ever been like pro Marcin Tybura.
Yeah. And he's been in the UFC since like 2016, so he's been here a while.
For a bit, yeah.
The only thing that I want to say about this real quick, and Fresh, I'm so sorry if you want to say anything. Cocksucker did a glorious post of fucking a picture of him in his football jersey. Like it was a throwback picture to like 2 years ago. And he goes, "Damn, I wish shit would have been different. I wish it got picked up by the Giants and got a ring or two." And somebody put in his fucking comments, "Huh, I guess beating your wife doesn't fucking work out all the time, cocksucker." I just wanted to make that known. If somebody if somebody didn't see that here, that was fucking gold.
That's nice. I'm glad folks are always there to remind him because the internet doesn't forget, and they shouldn't, especially not for a piece of shit like that.
Yeah, I won't talk about him.
That was all I had to say.
But that being said, there is a very good fight coming up after that shit show of an opening round. Jillian Robertson versus Tyla Santos. Talk about a hell of a last minute thrown together fucking matchup. Tyla Santos has been game as shit from what we've seen of her. We just haven't really gotten to see a whole lot of her yet. The problem for her, though, is that Jillian Robertson is another one of those ladies that decided for whatever reason that, you know what, 2020, fuck you. I'm kicking everybody's ass and taking all the fucking money this year. And she's just started tearing fucking heads off. Every time we've seen her in the octagon, she has looked better and better and better and better. And at this point, she is almost living in Dean Thomas's garage and training there every fucking day. And if there is somebody who can turn the dullest butter knife into the sharpest fucking Ginsu on earth, it is Dean fucking Thomas. And that man has nothing but the highest praises about the Savage herself. So I like Talia. I think she's got a lot of potential in her, just needs a little bit more refinement. But when you're stepping in against a Savage on a fucking tear like she is right now, you ain't getting it, sweetheart. You ain't getting it. I think Jillian Robertson takes this one home. I think she gets a submission second round.
Yeah, I completely agree. Jillian Robertson has just been ripping people apart. Yeah, and it's been glorious to watch. Been glorious to watch. I agree. I think a submission somewhere in the second or third. I think it's probably the likely finish to this particular match. This is one of those iron sharpens iron situations. Like I'm kind of hoping that Santos puts up a pretty darn good fight as far as it goes, but she's up against someone who's just taking it out on the world. So unfortunately, she's kind of the next body to get tossed in the heat. But this could be a valuable learning experience for her. Like
Absolutely.
Look at the fire that got lit up under Jillian and take note. So
Yeah, all I can say is Santos, thanks for showing up. Jillian Roberts going to win this. To be honest, this is one fight that, albeit it's on here, it's not one that really caught my eye that I was even planning on thinking about. And don't get me wrong, it'll be decent. And I say decent in the most kind way I possibly can, because I don't think it's going to be that great of a fight, to be quite honest. I think it'll be lackluster at best, but I'm pretty sure just on the way that Jillian's been running, she'll take this no problem.
Yeah, I mean, Jillian's only lost what was like one fight this year.
Yep.
I think she only lost one fight like at the very beginning of the year,
Right beginning of the year. Yep.
and ever since then, just fucking freight train barreling through the fucking division, which is great to see on the women's side of things because I'm tired of seeing women that are hit and miss. Like it's very fucking boring. Um, yeah, in the words of Fresh, this is Jillian's fight to lose, especially against somebody that is as green as Santos. Um, the only thing that I'd have to say that might be a problem is Santos has a decent like ability on the ground. That's about it. Other than that, Jillian fucking run circles around her in every way, shape, and form. So yeah, I'm going oh Jillian on this one.
I think it's going to be a fun fight. I think it's going to be interesting to see how it plays out. But that will bring us to another very interesting one to see how it's going to play out here. Another one of those that nobody really jumped up and asked for, but not the worst matchup they could have made either. Magic Marlon Moraes stepping in against Rob Font. This is a very interesting matchup all the way along because Rob Font has been gone for a hot fucking minute trying to make his way back now. And Marlon Moraes is basically the cat on the fucking motivational poster just trying to hang on at this point. At one point, literally, Marlon Moraes looked like he was going to be the face of the division and then tripped over his own dick and busted his face on the goddamn concrete and just has not been able to recover for whatever reason. Marlon looked like he was going to be a fucking world breaker and something happened to switch flip somewhere along the lines and he has just steadily been bouncing his way down the ladder painfully and embarrassingly. The good thing for him, I think, though, is that I don't think Rob Font has what it takes to push him further down the ladder. I've got nothing against Rob Font. I just haven't seen enough out of him to give me the confidence to think that he would be able to stop Marlon. Marlon is obviously not what we once thought he was, but we've also seen that there's still some fucking fire left in him as well. He has absolutely lost a few steps, but if we're putting the two neck and neck in a race, I still think he comes out ahead. This one, I think, is going to be the lackluster fight, not the ladies' fight. I think this is the one that actually ends up going to decision. I think Marlon wins this one on points alone just because I don't think Rob has what it takes to finish him. I think this is the boring fight, not the ladies' round.
You know, this is not one I was actually looking forward to either. I'll go ahead and say it. To be honest, Rob Font's never really done anything that justifies the position where he's in. I'll put it that way. Marlon Moraes, he had so much, I'm using had very strongly there, had so much fucking potential. The second his dick fell out of his jock strap, he tripped over the motherfucker because apparently it got too big on the way up. And he has not been able to recover and put that shit away because it's been a downward fucking spiral. I'm hoping, because I did like what I saw out of Marlon Moraes at one point, I'm hoping this is that turning point that gets him back to where he's supposed to be. He says he's pissed off, blah, 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 blah. Look, every fighter says that when they're on a fucking skid. It's how you react to the skid. Do you turn it around or do you not? If this is a spot where he can turn it around and actually get a finish, okay, we'll start talking about Marlon Moraes again some more. Rob Font could very well take this too. The way that Moraes has been fighting lately, I don't see a reason why he can't beat him right now. So what I'm going to say here is I'm going to give it to Rob Font purely on the fact that I don't think Moraes has got his shit back together yet.
I think you're exactly right. Like Rob Font's got a reach advantage on him, and that will probably frustrate the shit out of Marlon Moraes. And the second he gets frustrated, like this shit's gonna go sideways for him. I kind of agree with Meter. I don't know that either of these guys has what it takes to finish the other one, but I think Rob Font's got the reach on it, and I think it's going to frustrate Marlon. Marlon's going to completely forget exactly what he got in there. I think it might take Marlon getting cut and going somewhere else and regaining his manhood to come back and be like the man that we thought that he was going to be, because he showed incredible potential. Incredible.
He needs the Brandon Moreno treatment. That's what happened to Brandon Moreno. He originally was signed, fought like shit, went 0-3, I believe. The UFC cut him. He went back to fucking Mexico, fought his ass off. UFC re-signed him. We saw what he's capable of last week.
Yeah. And I think it's in there for Moraes. I think it's in there for Moraes. I think he might need to go get his fucking head rearranged somewhere and come back. It would be a shame to see something like that happen to somebody like him. Someone's got that potential. Maybe he turns it around. I don't think this is the fight that turns it around. I think this is exactly the type of dude that's going to frustrate him. So, because he's not going to be able to counter the way that he wants to counter on a dude that's as long as him and they can move the way that Rob Font can. So, yeah. Giving it to Rob. Go Rob. Not really. I'm not really rooting for either guy in this fight, but.
Rob by default.
Rob by default.
So my only fucking problem with this is I like Moraes. I always have. He's been like over the last year, he's had a lot of ups and downs, win a fight, lose a fight, win a fight, lose a fight. My only problem with Font is a lot of his wins are decision and against fucking nobodies. Like a lot of people that are just there, you don't know their name. Like his most notable win was the other Pettis in 2018. That was that between him and Almeida. Whenever Almeida was like coming in, starting to get real comfortable back in like 2017-ish, early 2018. Other than that, Moraes that's big dog territory. He's fucking Sandhagen, fucking Cejudo. He's going against the fucking big names that everybody knows. Everybody fucking sees the face like, oh, that's Henry Cejudo. Hey, he has a gold medal. Like shit like that. Like
that's somewhere.
Yeah. That's my only problem with picking Rob Font. That's my only downfall. Is he has potential to win this, but his wins just are a lot of nobody people, and the big people, like the big names that he does that does have victories over were on the way out or just coming in. So I have to go on Moraes purely on what he's doing and the caliber of people that he fights against. Because Font he's fighting a step down. I don't understand how Font is in the top 15 ranking.
I agree. I didn't understand how he was ranked number 11 when I saw that myself. I was like, wait, what? He's got a number? How?
I don't get that.
I'm right there with you. I don't know. We'll see how it plays out come Saturday. That, however, will bring us to the people's co-main event, as it were. The freak show fight, for lack of a better term, on this card. The clown himself, Michel Pereira, versus Chaos Williams, coming in off of a clean knockout of a rapist. So I'm really hoping we kind of see a repeat of Chaos Williams' last time out here. He won't be knocking out a rapist, but punching a clown is something that I'm sure our buddy Jeff would get behind and support him in doing. So I'm right there with you. I'm rooting for a clown puncher this weekend. I think Chaos Williams round 1, end it quick and get us onto the fucking co-main, buddy.
I said I would root for Chaos Williams every fight afterwards, and I would pick him every fight afterwards, no matter what I thought, if he knocked out the rapist. I'm sticking true to my word. Chaos Williams, first round knockout. People don't think he's patient enough to pick his spot. You ain't watched this dude's fights. He's a lot more patient than people give him credit for. He'll pick his spot and knock this dude the fuck out. Chaos Williams.
I'm 100% on the Chaos train, man. Because look, his fights have been short in the UFC, but they've been short for a good reason. When he throws a strike, it lands where he wants it to land and how hard he wants it to land. This fucking clown, Lima, how he's still getting fucking fights here, I don't fucking know. After the jag-off shit we've seen out of him, and they keep putting him up on the main card. No. This cocksucker deserves early prelims or not even shown. Like, they need an early prelim where you put this sorry sack of shit by himself. Gas William, right now, he's going to give Lima that red panty night that Conor McGregor would talk about by knocking his ass clean the fuck out. You're going to get rich, get the red panties away for your fucking lady. You're going to get an extra 50 G's, but it's going to be on the wrong side of things.
After every single performance that we've seen from fucking Williams, that's just a fucking instant pick. Lima, he can go fuck himself. I'm calling another first round. What the fuck just happened? Knockout.
Fingers fucking crossed for sure. That, however, will bring us into the awkwardly appetizing but very confusing looking potato puree plate that is our co-main event for the evening here. Another one of those fights that no one was standing on top of their chair screaming at the top of their lungs for, but when they announced it, everyone went, oh, okay, let's see how this one goes. Jose Aldo himself against Marlon Chito Vera. Where is Jose Waldo? We have seen this shell of a man twice now at 135 pounds, and neither time looked impressive, to say the least. And then you look across the octagon from that poor withered soul, and you see the Cheeto show coming fresh off of a fucking beautiful knockout of a loudmouth asshat. It's realistically hard at this point to see a path to victory for Jose Aldo. Excuse me. The one thing that I can see that gives him any kind of potential to save face and keep from getting added to that list of 60 that's going to be cut for Christmas is to bring back the old King of Rio leg kicks. We need to see him come in there, and from the second that opening bell goes off, he needs to be chopping the hardest fucking inside and outside calf kicks he can possibly get those little Brazilian soccer leg kicks of his to do, and hope that every fucking one of them lands. Because if he makes the slightest mistake, Chito Vera is going to put him to fucking sleep, and it's going to be very, very nasty. If he slips up and gets it to the ground, Chito Vera is going to take a fucking limb, and it's going to be very, very nasty. Jose's only path to victory, in my opinion, is to literally kick the legs out from under Chito Vera. That's it. I get that a sun shines on a blind dog's ass once in a great while, and a broken clock's still right twice a day. That don't mean shit when it comes to what's left of Jose Aldo. Unless he can bring those old school kicks back and stop Cheeto's legs from working early on, it's going to end poorly. And I honestly don't think he can bring those kicks back. I don't think we see a third round here. I think Cheeto finishes this early in the second. I think he feels him out in the first, and he finishes him in the second.
I mean, this is Cheeto's world, and we're all just living in it at this point.
Zachary.
Like he's the guy that, like, they keep putting him in these matches, and they're like, Cheeto might perform well, but it's really just a showcase match for this other guy. And he keeps ringing everybody's fucking bell or ripping somebody's arm or leg, or it doesn't fucking matter. If you put something out there, he'll rip it off. He's a madman. And we said this before the fight with the fuck's the clown?
O'Malley.
Yeah, before O'Malley, that like people really overlook Cheeto Vera. Like people really overlook it. Like Dana White completely overlooked Cheeto Vera. And after the match with O'Malley, he's like, it's the Cheeto show now. Like he's just yelling at Dana White. And Dana's just like, I don't know what to do with this dude. So I'm gonna give him Jose Aldo and see what fucking happens. I'm gonna give it a guaranteed first ballot UFC Hall of Famer, one of the best to ever put on the fucking gloves. Jose Aldo is, I don't know what he's trying to do at this point. He's just trying to hang in there, baby. Like you said earlier, he's trying to hang in there, and he's fighting such a nasty fighter, and I hate seeing a fight like this happen to an older fighter. That's clearly on his way out at this point, whether by force or by choice. Jose Aldo's probably walking off the 18th at this point. But Cheeto's lining up on he's lining up on 4 right now. Like he's just getting going, and it's always exciting to see Cheeto fight. And so yeah, I'm picking Cheeto.
You know, this is one of those things where I always say it's weird to call a fighter old when they're really not fucking old.
Yeah.
But Jose Aldo acts like he's fucking 40s, in his 40s lately. The dude's 34 years old. He's not fucking old.
He's been around forever, though.
But part of this, I think, is road mileage. The other part of that is I don't think he knows where he fits anymore. He was so used to having that strap for so long that once that left, put him into a state of disarray. Yeah, he's won a fight in here, but he's also lost 2 others in the last 3. And don't get me wrong, both of them were titles, but either way, one of them was graciously gifted to him as a shot, which I will say was bullshit. But anyways, Vera is, I'll call him a sleeper for this reason. He's not always awake, but those days when he decides to show up and he's awake and he walks in there, there's nobody that can stop him when he was awake. However, he's a sleeper for the fact that sometimes he comes in and he's straight fucking sleeping in the cage. Like, what the fuck are you doing? He's in that same kind of boat as Aldo. Vera's not old, but he's getting fucking up there. He's been around for quite a few years in the UFC, but he's never really strung enough wins together to make him notable. I mean, he's notable as in, yes, we know who you are, but not notable to the fact of, you're in the top 5, you're in the top 3, you're looking at a title shot type notable. Vera's just been always kind of that middle of the road guy, and there's nothing wrong with that. You're making a great career out of it, but at the same time, where's Jose Waldo? I think this is what it's going to depend on. Is Vera going to come in fucking ready to go, or is Jose? Both of them, to be honest, unless they show something absolutely fucking new or absolutely fucking old, this fight is a fucking toss-up. And it's weird to say that about a Jose Aldo fight. Like, even with his fucking last couple of train wreck fights he had, I find it weird to call anything a toss up or a coin flip with the likes of a Marlon Vera. And that's no disrespect to Marlon Vera. That's just how good Jose Aldo fucking was. And I say was because we haven't seen that in a while. We caught a small glimpse when he won one fight in this last three. And when I say small glimpse, it was pretty goddamn small. Maybe he's still trying to find his footing at bantamweight. I don't fucking know. Because, I mean, what's really weird is he dropped 10 fucking pounds. No, no, no. He looked like a fucking skeleton last time out in the weigh-ins. But he performed fairly decent for getting his ass whipped. I mean, it's going to be a toss-up. It's a coin flip here. I can't even pick a fucking winner because I don't know who's going to show up. Is it going to be a flash of the Jose Aldo of old, or is Marlon Vera going to be awake when he comes to fight? For me, this is a toss-up fight, and I have a hard time rooting against Jose Aldo, but I also have a hard time rooting against Marlon Vera too because he's a fucking sleeper. I'm not gonna pick a winner on this. I'm just gonna call it a toss-up. This is, in my opinion, a 50-50.
So I'm gonna have a kind of unusual fucking way of picking this. I want Marlon Vera to win this in a dominant fucking fashion, so they sign away Aldo. Because Aldo is getting to the point to where he should not be fighting anymore. Like he's getting up there and road miles, and he's just getting fucking worse and worse. He has flashes of that the what he was, but man, he is not. He's. I don't think that he is in a good place. Like where his brain is. I don't think it's a good place. Like mental standing and everything. I don't think it's a good place. I want Vera to fucking humiliate Aldo, so Aldo just walks away. For the betterment of himself.
I can see that. And with Cheeto, it's absolutely a fucking possibility. If Cheeto shows up and he's on, it's gonna be a bad night for Jose.
Like I'm not gonna say that I don't like Aldo. I fucking love what Aldo did for the sport. I have a bunch of fucking respect for who he is, what he's done, and how fucking dominant and amazing he was in his prime. But man, your days are about 5 years ago, bud. It's time to put the clubs in your fucking trunk and fucking get on going. Because you're not even on the course, you're not in the fucking clubhouse. You're just chilling smoking a cigarette on the fucking back of your car.
It's just Donald Trump wandering across the green right now.
Yeah.
Oh, we will have to see how that plays out Saturday night. But that will bring us to our main event, our namesake for this card, Stephen Wonderboy Thompson versus Jeff Hands of Steel Neal. This is a very interesting matchup. This is kind of one of those shit get off the pot moments for Wonderboy, I think, which is a strange thing to think of because Wonderboy is another one of those that he's a young guy, but he's been in the UFC for some years now. We have seen him literally from the bottom to the top, floating around the middle. We're at that point in the Wonderboy career. I feel like he either needs to get it all dialed in and make a run back for that title, or he's going to be the next name on that list of 60 because, again, it's not that he's terrible, but he's been around long enough and he's at such a high level long enough that his name demands a serious paycheck no matter who he's fighting against. And it's not good for the UFC to have to pay out $750,000 for a dude who's going to get fucking KO'd by a Superman punch off a fence. You gotta hope at this point that Wonder Boy has got his shit together enough to where we can see that Wonder Boy that first came into the UFC, the guy that used to literally move his fucking hips like fucking Bruce Lee when he was standing there, when he was bouncing and he was constantly fucking flexing and moving like a goddamn snake, and you never knew what he was gonna fucking throw at you or where it was gonna fucking come from. And we haven't seen that Wonder Boy in a couple of fights now. And the problem is if he can't bring that Wonder Boy back out, Dana's already got the scissors out. He's got walking papers ready and a stamp ready to put his fucking approval on and send people down the fucking road. And if you cost a lot of money and you ain't bringing fucking W's in for the company, you don't get kept very goddamn long. They've already shown they're willing to cut some of the biggest of the big names they have. And Wonder Boy hasn't exactly been on a fucking hot streak lately. The problem for him is Jeff Neal has been on kind of a fucking hot streak lately. Jeff Neal is kind of the opposite of a Wonder Boy. He's almost the same age, but with almost half the experience, maybe less than half the experience when you consider Wonder Boy's kickboxing career. But Jeff Neal is so goddamn smooth. He just makes you forget that he hasn't been fighting for 25 fucking years, because he comes in like a glass of water, ripples right past your fucking fence, puts hands on your chin, and dudes are sleeping before you realize what the fuck just happened. And it's not one of those things that he does it once in a while. He does it every fucking time. We see Jeff Neal in the octagon, people get fucking hurt. He's one of those dudes that he just changes the game. When he puts hands on you, you see dudes react differently when he connects. It's not just that they've been punched, it's that, oh shit, there's serious power behind that fucking hand, and it changes how you have to plan for the fucking fight. We've seen that as great as Wonder Boy can be, his biggest goddamn weakness, like most fighters of that style, is his fucking chin. He can take a lot of damage, but when you connect right on Wonder Boy's chin, the lights go out. We've seen it time and time again now, and that's not good. That doesn't get better. We've said it a million times. We'll say it a million more. Your chin never comes back. It only ever gets worse. And when you've had your chin checked and tested as many times as Wonder Boy has, at this point, you're stepping into a dude who specializes in checking your fucking chin. Jeff Neal's not here to wrestle. He's not here to give you a chance to throw fucking long, lanky kicks at him. He's here to get in the phone booth and take your fucking chin and throw it to the audience. The problem is he's real fucking smooth in doing that. And he's real good at being smooth. I like Wonder Boy. I think he just has lost too much of a step at this point. That chin can't carry you. Even if you still have the urge, the fire in your belly, the body has started to slow down and the chin has been left wanting. And that's exactly what Jeff Neal is targeting like a fucking laser beam. He's coming in there looking to break your chin into pieces. And I think he's going to do it. I don't think we see the third round here. I think middle of the second, Jeff Neal puts Wonder Boy to sleep.
So my question here about this fight is, how healthy is Jeff Neal? Because he went through some shit.
Yes, he fucking did. He almost died, literally.
He almost died. How healthy is he? Before he caught his infection that damn near killed him, he went into like organ failure. Like that's how serious shit was.
Complete shutdown. Yeah.
Like people didn't want to fight him. Like people were ducking him. He could not get a fight in the UFC. Could not get one. He had to go back to regular work because people did not want to fight him. If he comes back and just absolutely smashes Wonder Boy, like that moves him up the rankings, one. So people are going to have to start taking fights with him. And two, like it creates a massive problem for that division. If he's anywhere near where he was, because he is ridiculous. Wonder Boy doesn't have the wrestling that throws him off. So we don't have to worry about that. Like this will be a banger for as long as it lasts, one way or the other. It'll be this one. I mean, it's got fight of the night written all over it. It's gonna be a great fight. But if Jeff Neal is legitimately healthy, like poor Wonder Boy, because he's gonna get turned off. We've seen it one too many times. We know, like we've seen a couple dudes, make their way back and be relatively successful, trying to cover up that weakness, but eventually it gets exposed. And Jeff Neal's a specialist in exposing that shit. So yeah, if he's healthy, it's gotta be Jeff Neal, and it won't be in the third. It'll be late first, beginning of the second, somewhere in there. He'll feel him out a little bit, and then he's just gonna sneak one in on him, and Wonder Boy's gonna wake up wondering what the fuck happened to him. If Jeff Neal is not healthy, then the power's not going to be there. He'll be a step slower than he was. He won't be able to do all the things that he did before, and that turns into a Wonder Boy decision victory. I think Jeff Neal's healthy enough. If he got signed off by a doctor, I think he's healthy enough to get into this fight and switch Wonder Boy off. And I think that's exactly what's going to happen.
There's some irony here. When we talk about old and young, we're talking about a fucking Jose Aldo being old at 34 years old. We're talking about, in the same sense, a Wonder Boy being young, but he's 37. He's not fucking young.
Wonder Boy's not young.
Look, we know why Neal hasn't fought in a fucking year. What I want to know is, why haven't we seen fucking Wonder Boy in a year?
He broke both of his hands and tore a tendon in his collarbone. He talked about it in his virtual press conference yesterday. He broke both his hands in his last fight, and then after he got them both operated on and was recovering and started training again, he tore a ligament in his shoulder.
So, either way, both of these guys coming back off of injuries, life-threatening illnesses.
Yep.
To be honest, this is a tune-up fight for the both of them. Although Wonder Boy has been a little hot and cold lately. He hasn't been that same Wonder Boy that we're used to. I mean, he did get knocked out by fucking Anthony Pettis. Granted, that was a year and a half ago. Then later that same year, he ended up fucking with a beautiful win. But to be honest, I don't know which way to call this one, because I don't know how healthy is Jeff Neal going to be. Look, you can get cleared by a doctor and still not be healthy. And it's not that he's not healthy, because obviously he's come back from everything that's gone on, but to be the same guy, because when you go through something like that where it changes your life drastically, that can fuck with your mental psyche. I don't know that he's going to be back from that yet. I have a hard time saying that he's going to. And don't get me wrong, he's still got knockout power. He had knockout power even if it wasn't Wonder Boy here. He's got knockout power. However, the one thing he does really have going for him in this is that is in an octagon that is fucking smaller than the normal size, because it's in the Apex Center, which doesn't give fucking Wonder Boy the room to bounce around like he likes to do and keep it at distance with kicks and so on. That's going to be his biggest fucking advantage. I'll say it. That's the biggest advantage I think Jeff Neal has right now, is that the octagon is smaller by what? It's 5 foot smaller, right?
Yeah, 5 foot smaller.
So, don't get me wrong, we're still going to see Wonder Boy bounce around, work his distance game like he does, because that's what he's really fucking good at. Albeit aging a little bit, he is still fucking really good at it. Wonderful thing is, you hurt your fucking shoulder, you broke your hands in your last fight, that shit doesn't matter when you're mostly a karate dude, because guess what? Those kicks are still coming from him. And I think he'll manage distance well. I don't think Jeff Neal is 100% fully back. I really don't. After everything he's been through, I can't give a 100% nod to him saying, yes, you're healed up enough, you're mentally back enough. I'm thinking more on the mental side of things, because physically, it's easy to put on muscle. If this is something you've been doing your whole life, it's easy to put that weight back on. But mentally, after something like that, I don't know if he's going to be mentally all there. And I think that's what's going to give the edge to Wonder Boy to win this. Do I think he'll knock him out? No. But there is that chance. And there is still that chance that Jeff Neal knocks out Wonder Boy. But if I'm going to give it to somebody, I'll play the healer. I'll say Stephen Thompson gets it purely on the fact of I think mentally, I don't think Jeff Neal's going to be there after everything he's gone through. That's way worse than what fucking Wonder Boy went through this last year. Just, I'll say it outright. It's a sad thing that nobody has wanted to fight him since then, because he really could have used the tune-up, and this is a terrible fight to walk in as a tune-up fight after going through all that shit.
So I have one legitimate serious question after doing some research last night. How the fuck is Wonder Boy so good and people say that he is like he's like one of the best of the fucking division when like you're writing like decision victories since fucking 2016? How are you fucking great? How are you one of the best of the division? He hasn't had a knockout or submission victory against a fucking nobody since 2016. But yeah, you a badass. You one of the best. Get the fuck out of here. Ever since like 5-6 years ago, that was Wonder Boy's like fucking drop off to where his chin got cracked and he never fucking came back. Since that point, his only good victory was a fucking decision over Masvidal. Wonder Boy's name is absolutely on that fucking list because he has done shit in the last 4 years of being inside the UFC. His name is absolutely on the list of 60. Neal, before he got fucked up and damn near died, he was on a glorious fucking rise through the goddamn division. I don't fucking see a chance how Wonder Boy walks away from this with a fucking W. Even if it goes down to a decision, that's Neal's victory. I don't see Thompson walking away with a W. I see Thompson laying on his fucking back saying, what the fuck just happened?
I agree. There's, again, like we say, a broken clock's right twice a day. So there's still always that chance. Excuse me. There's still always that chance that Wonder Boy is still got it, and he just has been holding back while he was training because he didn't get the opportunity to get in the cage before now. I don't know, man. I think Jeff Neal is going to give him a lot of fucking problems because he fights real similarly to the way that Tyquill used to back in his prime, and we saw all kinds of fucking problems come from both of the times that Wonder Boy fought Tyquill. So I don't know. We will definitely have to keep an eye on it, but that's the fun thing about MMA is no matter how many different ways we guess it could go, how many different ways we guess it might go, how many times we are 100% certain, there's no guarantee in MMA. The only way to find out how these are actually going to play out is to tune in this weekend for the last events of MMA of the 2020 season. That, however, is all we have for this particular episode of the I'm No Joe podcast. I do want to thank each and every one of you for tuning in, whether you are here with us in the chat or you're catching this on a replay, you are listening to this in the all audio version. Either way, we appreciate you guys for all the support you have given us. I will be here next week for a 2020 year-end recap. Whoever else is available, I know you guys have family stuff going. Not sure who else is going to be available, but if you are, We're going to be here. We're going to be doing the damn thing. We're going to go over the best, the most interesting. We're going to talk about the funnest shit from 2020 next week. That being said, the Discord, that link is in the little scroll bar down here. It is also in the chats. There is a specific channel made just for viewer questions and submissions. If you would like to put your 2 cents in on the best male fight, the best female fight, the best fight of the year, the best round of the year, best submission of the year, best knockout of the year, if you think there was something that stands out so much we need to talk about it for the best of the year of 2020, drop it in that Discord chat and we will give it a holler next weekend. But before we get out of here, I do want to take just a moment and thank these fine folks for coming along with me here. So if at this point someone wants to find out the best place to get some work in Ohio, or how not to have a beard on a panel full of dudes with beards, how can they get a hold of you after the show, RJ?
I mean, at least I'm not Frank Beard, the member of ZZ Top. That's last name is literally Beard, but I have a mustache. I mean, I could be doing worse. I could be doing worse here, okay? I could be the drummer for ZZ Top. You can always go over there to Instagram at RJ MMA Official. Shoot me a DM. Love to talk some bullshit. And if you want to ask questions about my lack of beard, I'd love to explain how I haven't hit puberty yet, and I'm 25 years old. So
there is that. Thank you for your time, sir. And that being said, if at this point in the game, someone needs to know how they can join the hunt to hug Uncle Chael or the quest for the purple strap, how can they get a hold of you after the show, Mr. Fresh 03?
Well, the first thing I'm wondering is how you're bad-mouthing a man who gets paid millions upon millions of dollars to get shit-faced.
Frank Beard, ZZ Top mustache.
Songs like Tube Steak Boogie. I'm just curious.
Frank Beard, ZZ Top, known for their beards, like iconically. Frank Beard, I have a mustache. I'm a drummer. Hi.
Let me correct you. They're not known for their beards. They're known for their fucking music. The beards just came along with it. God damn it. Fucking typical rookie mistake.
Whenever you say ZZ Top, what do you think of? Beard and the fucking car.
No.
Sharp-dressed man.
I immediately think sharp-dressed man, Lagrange. Come on, let's go.
Yeah.
That's right.
I grew up on their music. Whenever somebody says ZZ Top, I think about fucking sharp-dressed man, pearl necklace, their beards, and the car.
I think of them
Soon.
being incredibly drunk on stage and still getting paid hundreds of thousands of dollars to play that show. Anyway, Uncle Chael slipped up this week, everybody. He slipped up. He geotagged himself in Portland. We know where it's happening. We could theoretically go hug Uncle Chael this weekend. We know exactly where he's going to be. Exactly where he's going to be. He put the location for the fights up. So, unfortunately, they are not letting outside people in. They're not letting outside people in, but there's an off chance that we could go to Portland and sneak in and finally give Uncle Chael the hug that he deserves for keeping MMA quite frankly afloat for a couple months.
Yeah.
Giving us the shows that we deserved and matches that we didn't know that we wanted. So yeah, just thank you to Uncle Chael. And as big as dick that Dana White is, you still gotta thank him for the year that we had, because talking about some of the things that happened this year, holy shit, did the UFC deliver for everything that happened, all the fights that got pulled. Like, there was some absolute ridiculousness, and last weekend was a perfect example of that. Shit falls through. He's like, hey guys, I know you were talking to each other. You mind hopping in the cage again in less than 3 weeks? We got two warriors that said fuck yeah, and then just delivered one of the best matches of the year. Easily one of the best matches of the year. So despite the dick that he is, Uncle Dana has delivered it as well. So It's been a great year, and it's been great hanging out with you guys. So, thank you, Meter, for inviting me on the show.
Thank you for your time, sir. Always appreciated. Glad to have you aboard. Been a hell of a year indeed. That being said, last but certainly not least, if at this point in the game somebody doesn't know, but they still need to ask, how can they find out the best place to get themselves some fried cheese curds and maybe a Kenosha Crippler sighting, Mr. Galty?
Well, you first have to take a large dose of know when I'm wrong and shut my fucking mouth. And then you get a hold of me on either a Wednesday night or on the Instagrams. And I'll give you directions. I'll even give you a sighting map of where to find the Kenosha Crippler. And you'll be set to go. And maybe next thing you'll do is you might dip your face in a little bit of milk so the cat can lick the dirt off of your chin. Yeah. Just a thought there. Yeah. We're here for anybody.
Thank you very much for your time, sir. Always appreciate it. That being said, we are going to call this all for this particular episode. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in, for joining along in this crazy fucking ride that has been 2020. That is all we have got for the last event show of 2020. We will be back next week for a final wrap-up year-end review show, if you will, type of thing. And then we will be off for damn near a month with no shows until we come back to Fight Island in 2021. So thank you to everyone who has helped make 2021 hell of a year. I look forward to recapping the rest of this year with you guys next week and then seeing what the fuck 2021 has in store for us. But that is all we have got for this one. So remember, folks, until next time, don't let ignorance stop you. You can root for anything. Wink.
Everybody was kung fu fighting. Those kids were fast as lightning. In fact, it was a little bit frightening. How do I say goodbye to what we had? The good times.